Hello and welcome to the channel. This is a place where I talk about all kinds of religions and spiritual movements, their history and their beliefs. So if that's what you're interested in, I hope you'll visit often and stay long, as the saying goes. Well, a while back I made a video about the basics of things that religions provide for people. I'll put a link to that video in the description box. And then I talked about one of the ways that religions can get off track, and that was when I talked about the witchcraft trials. And that was specifically Christianity. Today I want to talk about a way I think religions do a disservice to people, especially children and young people. But as people get older, you'll see how this disservice works out in an adult's life. And any religion, and many religions that I know of, several branches of Christianity do this. And I think it's where, instead of providing help to people, this is a disservice. And that is when different religions or different groups of religious people discourage education for their young people. And I'm sure you can all probably think of some examples, but I'll give you a couple of examples from people and situations that I know about. I know specifically of a family where they're in a religion that discourages education for young people. Now, they don't discourage all education in this group, but they encourage manual labor and discourage going to any kind of a school where they would receive any thoughts that differ from their religion. And that's usually the purpose of this, is to keep young people from being exposed to other ideas. Well, what happens then is that also limits in our society that child's ability to get further education, and it limits their career or job possibilities. And they are very often left in lower paid manual labor positions. Not always, but often. Some of them go into a trade where they can earn a good living. For example, one might become a carpenter and work in construction, and those men and women are paid very well. However, it's brutal on their bodies, and as they get older, they can be less and less productive, and the option for injury, accidental injury, is much greater, and they're not equipped to do anything else. As I say, the reason for limiting the education is to avoid the children coming across any idea that would be different than they've been taught in their religion. And so you can see why I think that's a disservice, because it limits their income for life. It limits their career options. And very often it means giving up their dreams. You might have had a young person who wanted to be a doctor, but they're discouraged from going to college. So, and of course they can't go to medical school if they don't go to college. So that's one of my pet peeves about some religions, is when they don't allow people to get higher education, or to even on the, what in the US is called the high school level. Those would be the years between when a person is about 13 to 18, thereabouts. They have so much potential for learning, and many of the school systems in religious communities limit that learning, limit what they learn about science to only things that specifically agree with their faith. So that's one problem with limiting education or discouraging education. I recently watched a video of a Christian woman talking about homeschooling, and I believe that every family has the right to, within parameters of safety, I'm not encouraging abuse, but within parameters of safety and let's say reasonable behavior, I think parents should raise their children the way they want to. And this family is choosing to homeschool. If I had young children right now, I'd probably be homeschooling. That being said, the woman made a point of saying that they were raising their boys and girls differently. The girls, they were preparing to be good wives and mothers, housekeepers, home keepers. The boys, they were preparing to be able to have a good job or career and to work outside the home to provide for the family and to protect the wife and children. And I did have some issue with this, and I wondered what would happen to one of those children if the boy wanted to become a chef and loved cooking, or a hairdresser, which is a career that's typically that's for girls, doing girly things, fixing your hair, or a pediatrician, and he wanted to play with dolls. Well, that would be forbidden, of course. So I had some issue even with that concept. And I'll tell you something about my own. I had a job one time, part-time job, Saturdays and evenings after my normal job, working in a laundromat. And it was always quite funny. The girls who worked in the laundromat, we found it quite amusing. Whenever a man got divorced, they would come in the first time with their laundry and not have any idea how to even wash their own clothes. Now, none of us want to get divorced. We never imagined that our marriage would fail and we'd get divorced, or that our spouse might die and we would be left with all the responsibilities. This doesn't just go for the men who didn't even know how to do their laundry. I'm sure they probably didn't know how to cook either, or clean the house, or run the dishwasher, or things that's quote unquote women's work. And on the other hand, you have the woman who becomes a young widow and has no idea how to handle the family finances. She doesn't know where their bank account is, or how to write a check, or how to pay her bills online if she chooses to. So both of these are examples of extreme situations. Yes, you'd say, oh, well, how many men were there like that? Well, you know what? There were lots of them that didn't know how to wash their own clothes. They didn't know how much soap to use, what softener was, how to make the machine go. So anyway, that's one of my pet peeves, when our religions decide that certain people are to learn certain things based on their interpretation of the Bible. I have been criticized on this channel many times by Christians because I know about theosophy, which is not it's not a religion at all, it's a philosophy. I know about some of the religions that they would consider heresies. I know lots about Christian Science, and I know about Rosicrucianism and the esoteric teachings of the church and what the mystics say. And they think that because I studied these things, that I know what Buddhists say about reincarnation, and I know what the Upanishads of Hinduism say, that somehow I can no longer be Christian. And that's what this is based on, that if you're educated, you can't really be Christian. If you know about other things, it means that automatically your faith in God and Jesus and all the teachings of the Bible, etc., are undermined, and you must be a heretic. And so even as adults, the church is discouraging its people from learning. And I think that's so sad. I personally know well people who are fundamentalist Christians and people who are atheists and people who follow Islam and Christian Science and Jehovah's Witnesses and everything from A to Z in the fields of religion and spirituality. And my faiths, while they may not be the same as yours, have not been taken away because I know what theosophy teaches, or I know what Jehovah's Witnesses teach, or I know what an atheist believes. We're doing people a disservice. The church is doing people a disservice when it closes their world from learning new things. I better stop talking. I've been rambling forever. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you come back next time. I'll see you soon.